recently did an interview where they revealed more details that I didn't know. Now, they exposed exactly why it feels like everyone who was around Math Hoffa, they're no longer around him. And how essentially this podcast went from being a really successful podcast to Math Hoffa pushing everybody out the door due to greed.
Is Gully, nobody was getting paid. Okay? Then let's talk about that. Wasn't getting paid, and I'm gonna say this: nobody was getting paid except Space Ghost.
That's it.
All right. When I was the first thing that knew they had to pay, me, and I was calling him saying, "Yo, he's gonna pay me." So you gonna tell them to pay you, or I'm gonna just take my money and I'm gonna split it with you because we a team.
Right.
But when you speak to this, you tell him he got to pay you. Once I got paid, once I had to get paid, everybody else got paid. That's the hatred.
How long into the show was people not being compensated?
The whole time. Nobody got paid but me first, nigga.
How the fuck did that work out?
because niggas didn't know that niggas was getting money, but I knew because I was getting paid from my other YouTube show.
That's just messy business all around, bruh. You have multiple co-hosts and multiple hosts. You're better off not paying nobody. You're better off telling the one dude that's hounding you to get paid to F off and go away. But once you start paying one host who's contributing the exact same as the other host, they're all there. They all come and show up at the same time, but you're paying one and not the others. That's just messy business. And that alone can create hostility and create a lot of murmurs in the office, which it did, which caused a lot of tension in the office as it would appear. But it appeared that Math Hoffa was able to get away with not paying his host because a lot of them were new to content. They were new to making videos. They were new to podcasting. They had no idea how money was being made, how money was being made. But when you bring in someone who already has a YouTube channel, when you bring in someone who is getting paid from YouTube already, well, that person has access to information that all the other hosts who was there before him didn't. Now, if Math Hoffa intentions was to keep everybody there content and satisfied off the clout they was getting and not focus on money, that he made a really big mistake by bringing in those dudes, because he knew those dudes had a YouTube channel already. And when they look at the views and they look at the clips and it look like how Math Hoffa is repurposing this interview with 20 different clips and each clip is doing 100,000, they know what's coming in and they know the money that's coming in. So that's what Math Hoffa F himself over initially. But paying one host and not paying the others is just dumb to me.
That wasn't even getting the hits he was getting. Yeah. And they were paying me already. Yeah. So when a girl, I'm going to say Mandy from Mandy Focal Pumps called me when I was on set and she didn't know me and she asked me some number and she said, I want to start a show with you and I'm going to pay you. And I was like, pay me? And I showed it to Heineken. This started everything. We was on set. I said, look, Heineken. And Heineken didn't play it cool. He's like, oh, word? Oh, word? Oh, word? Oh, God. And Math was like, what is that? And Heineken was like, look, they trying to pay him.
Yeah.
And on my way to go meet her, he called me.
That was your first time seeing the analytical page?
No, he didn't see it yet.
I didn't see it at the
He didn't see it until after the nigga wasn't paying us. How about that?
You didn't know about that?
He showed it. He let him see it on some cocky
But he didn't, my mind and I looked at him like this.
Let me tell you
and
something.
I called them niggas.
Math Hoffa comes from the music business. So Math Hoffa, his entire business practice is based on the record label. These 360 exploitative deals. He wanted to put these dudes in the 360 deal without any compensation, and that's where he effed up. Because he was eventually forced to give him compensation because he realized, they were trying to go out and do other things. Which to me, if I'm Math Hoffa, that's perfect. If you're able to go out and do another podcast with Mandy and another podcast here, and you're able to use the clout you got from here to go ahead and do other things and get revenue from that, to me, that's perfect. Because that's essentially me saying, listen, bro, it buys me more time for me to pay you, right? Because if you're making all this money based off the residual clout you're getting from here, then you're really not pressing me for some paper. But if I'm about to go sign a deal and do another podcast with somebody who wants to pay me, and then you say, nah, bro, you can't do that, bro. Nah, you got to stay here. Well, then you got to pay me for my exclusivity. Another music label practice that Math Hoffa adopted is putting the worker bees against each other. Artists at the record label are fighting for the budget, are fighting for favoritism. And in order to gain that favoritism, they're ready to do whatever they got to do, which is sell out, which is push the agenda, even if they know the agenda for the label is destructive for their own community. Math Hoffa attempted to do that. He found a host that he wanted to really ingratiate himself with to turn that host against the others. So how would he do that? He would take them shopping. Right. Again, music label tactic. But this time it backfired on Math Hoffa because he's seen that these two dudes came in together and they were standing in solidarity. So in an attempt to tear them apart, he tried to target one of them that he thought was the weakest. He brought that person shopping, and then he made a fatal error. He showed that person the books. He showed that person the analytics to brag about how much money he was getting, how much power he got, and why that person should be loyal to him instead of his friend. But that backfired because all that person did was tell everybody how much Math Hoffa was really making on the channel, and that led to everybody demanding to get paid.
I'm not even saying nothing else. Right. His biggest mistake.
The whole analytical thing.
Listen, the whole analytical thing. This is the most ironic part of the whole. Everybody was now worried about the money he was making, and they was coming to me because I was the first thing to get paid. I was like, I don't care how much money he's making. We have a deal with him. He's supposed to pay us this. As long as he pays me my money, I don't care. Why? Because Gully, I'm not a content. Yeah. I said, I'm going to take this money and I'm going to go put this with my other money and with my other money and with my other money. And this is gravy. I'm selling capsules right on the platform. Yeah. So I'm selling clothing capsules I'm selling 200 pieces in a week. $200. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm gravy, right? So I'm making the money, I'm chilling, and for some reason he takes this nigga out with him, right? Mm-hmm. Takes this nigga. He owes us all money at this time. Yeah. Everybody he owes money. He chooses to take a Haitian shopping, okay? And to show a Haitian nigga, look at all the money that I'm making. He would have been better off showing me because I would be like, I don't give a f. You're making $200,000 a month and you owe me $3,000. Yeah. I don't care because I'm making my money. This nigga like, oh no, oh Essa, yo, this nigga get $212,000. I said, $212,000 what? Dollars a month. I said, what? He said, nigga. I said, I don't care. This weird. I said, I don't care what he's making. I don't care.
The reason why I cared though, right? It's not about how much. It's that he was finding ways not to pay us. Yeah. So I'm sitting there like,
the ball hog.
You're paying us peanuts. You're making what people die to make for a year.
Now that's just selfish, man. That's just insanely selfish. But from a YouTuber perspective, like the money is not consistent. He probably made $212,000 that month itself. But did he make $212,000 the next month? Probably not. But the thing with YouTube is, and why I feel like Math Hoffa was probably reluctant to pay people, was because the money was not consistent. He didn't know the minimum he was going to get every month. So when Math Hoffa was like decided on what to pay people per month, you got to base it on what you feel like the floor is going to be. And when you have 5 to 6 to 7 co-hosts, yo, that money starts getting a little thin. Even if it's $200,000, yo, you pay, let's say every host, I don't know, five bands a month, which for a living wage in New York, that's nothing. That's $35,000 in payroll plus a cameraman plus the rent. That $200,000, you cut it in half with New York taxes, $100,000, right? So it's kind of like, but that $200,000 was probably the most he ever made in a month, right? He probably makes about, let's say, 40 to 50 bands. So when you're deciding what to pay people, it's kind of really difficult to settle on a static amount because you don't know as a YouTuber how the views are going to do that month, right? But still, you don't show people who are starving, who you haven't paid $212,000. Like, why? Like, that's just the dumbest idea ever. Ever. Now, come to find out, they weren't the only ones, though. Math Hoffa had a cameraman, Space Ghost, who I believe he started off with, or he came in very early and helped Math Hoffa build this up. I think what he did to the cameraman was more egregious than what he did to the guys who came in when things were pretty much already established.
What actually led to you stepping away from My Expert Opinion?
It was a number of things. It was compensation was slow.
Yeah.
Let's keep it like that. Compensation was slow. I wasn't getting compensated, but it wasn't proper amount, and it was slow. It was not on time. It was not when it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that's one has already got me in the fucking whatever. Then he let my guys go.
Yeah.
So, and with no explanation to me. So I don't know what's going on with that. And it's like, that's ruining the show. Then there's a deal in place. Then instead of negotiating with me for the deal, he wants to throw me pennies or whatever the fuck. It's like, that's not how this works, bro.
Right.
You got to talk with me. I got all the shit that they want.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy you need to speak to so we can make this shit work.
Right.
And it's just, with him talking shit and talking crazy to me.
Right.
I'm out of here, man.
During negotiation, you ultimately named a specific dollar amount that you felt that you should earn monthly.
No, I asked him for $100,000.
I asked him for $1?
I asked him for $100,000.
For 12 months? For a year?
Huh?
For a year?
No, for if he was gonna get the Revolt deal, which was quoted for $3 million, $2 million, give me $100,000 out of that.
Yeah.
It was give it to me. It was, if you get this deal, this is what I want, because they want catalog.
Yeah.
So this is what I will give to you, and then you charge them with whatever you want. I don't care.
$1 million worth of game went through something similar, where they started off with Dev, where Dev had the studio, Dev had the cameras, Dev had everything, and they was filming and recording in Dev's studio, and Dev was handling all the production. But Dev was doing this thinking, yo, I really think this podcast can go somewhere. And he was with them when they was getting 5,000 views an episode. He stuck with them. And then eventually, $1 million worth of game grew to where a big deal was being offered. So Dev is sitting back thinking, yo, bro, we being offered $5 million, $2 million, $10 million. Yo, I'm about to get a huge payday. So when Gilly and Wallow came to Dev and they offered him like a per hour rate, Dev is like, hold on, bro. I thought I was a partner in this podcast. I thought I was like, have equity in this podcast. I thought I was going to get paid something. But they were just trying to offer him a per hour rate and giving him no percentages of what was being offered. And Dev was asking for a percentage and equity because he felt like, yo, I'm a partner. Like, we started this podcast in my facility from zero. I was not getting paid for doing nothing. I was actually doing free work, production, audio, video, everything. So in this case with Space Ghost, he started off pretty early with Mav. He helped build up the podcast. Now, if you know anything about production and you know about the entertainment industry, whoever hit record on the camera, they own the content. So with Mav not really having the business sense to draft up a contract and say, yo, when you hit record, this content belongs to me, that means that Space Ghost owned the catalog. He owned everything because he was the one that was hitting record. So with him asking for $100,000 out of, let's say, a $2 or $3 million deal that Math Hoffa was going to get, at the time, Math Hoffa wasn't paying anybody. So that $2 or $3 million would have went directly into Math Hoffa's pockets. $100,000 out of that, I think, is fair, especially if you started off together. But, you know, it looks like this right here is the real reason why I think the Math Hoffa experiment failed. Math Hoffa didn't really take care of people around him. Didn't do good business by the people who was dedicated and committed and who was there when no money was coming in. But let me know in the comment section, man, what do you guys think about this? All right. Do you guys believe that Math Hoffa should have paid them more? Do you guys believe they were entitled? Let me know, okay? And if you're still watching, click on this video here somewhere on my screen. Sauce Walka got a very scary threat from this deceased rapper's mom. Click on this video right here to find out why. I'm